I have two teenage sons, and they'll say this is the only gold medal I'd ever get in my life, as only teenage sons could say. In 1990, in August of 1990, I was sitting where you all are sitting, generally. It was downtown in downtown Chicago, but I was not unlike you, sitting here kind of wondering what my path was going to be. And unlike some of you, you guys don't know exactly what the path of podiatry and podiatric medicine is, and I did to some degree. But I want to go back a little bit and tell a story. My dad started podiatric medical school when he was 18 years old. He had done, back then, you only needed to do your prerequisite science classes. He did 1 year of college, did a summer school, and then got into podiatry school. He had no idea what he was getting into. He had no idea what podiatry was. He wanted to be a doctor, and somebody told him this is a fast track to becoming a doctor. He was from not a very wealthy family, so it was a way for him to move forward in his education. And this is the early 1960s. He was in the first class to get a doctor of podiatric medicine in 1964. So it's been such a short time since we've actually had a degree of doctor of podiatric medicine. And at that time, he had an opportunity to do, there were like 2 or 3 residencies in the country. He took the longer of them at 6 months and did a 6 months of residency. This is totally true. And then over the course of his career, some really interesting things happened. Podiatric medicine started to grow, started to thrive, started to become an incredibly important part of the delivery of medical care in the United States of America. And he was a part of that. So I'm born in 1968, early in my dad's career. And I can remember times when he was coming home late at night, talking about his practice. But things that he did that you all are about to be a part of, he got involved with professional sports. He was the team doctor for the Chicago Bears for 25 years. He was the team doctor for the Chicago White Sox for about 25 years as well. He was the team doctor for the United States Gymnastics Olympic team in 1980. So those are pretty cool things that he was able to do at a time when podiatry was just starting to grow. You heard about my wife, Wendy. My wife, Wendy, was interested in medicine from when she was a really young child, and she was absolutely sure she was going to go on to medical school. And at a time when she had applied to medical school and gotten into medical school, a neighbor of hers had said, "What do you want to go into?" And she says, "Well, I want to be an OB-GYN." And he was an OB-GYN as well. And he said to her, "Do you want to have a family? Do you want to come home at night and see your family?" And she said, "Yeah, I'd really like to do that." He said, "Go into podiatry. You can have a family, you can have a practice, you can take care of people in a really high way, but you can have a work-life balance as well." So she went into podiatry. For me, it was almost a foregone conclusion from a very young age that I was going into the profession. And it wasn't because my parents said to me, "This is what you have to do." For me, it was just, I saw how happy my dad was, how happy people were. We'd be at restaurants, at dinner, and people would come up to him, "Dr. Weil, thank you so much for what you did for me." And you can imagine how impressionable that is on a young person. I can remember as a very young child, my dad doing rounds on a Saturday or a Sunday and putting me in a wheelchair and pushing me around a hospital, going from room to room to room, meeting patients, and seeing the interaction and how important and impactful he was on patients' lives. But the thing that impacted me the most was when I was a teenager, and he's the team doctor for the Chicago Bears, I got asked to be part of the training staff of the Chicago Bears. And this is when I was a junior and senior in high school. And during training camp and during games, I was on the sidelines and in the locker room. And during the 2-minute warning and timeouts, I was the guy that ran out on the field and handed water to the players in the middle of the huddle. And when I was a senior in high school, the Bears won the Super Bowl, and I was a part of all of that. You can imagine how impressionable that was on a 16, 17-year-old who fashioned himself as a professional athlete. Right? This isn't happening. The closest I'm getting to a professional sports field is helping the athletes get there. So the reason I tell you these 3 stories is that you guys are probably already starting to have these conversations. Why did you go to podiatry school? Why did you pick podiatric medicine? And you're going to start to have these conversations back and forth. And those are fun, but everybody's got a different path. Everybody's got a different reason why you've chosen this path. So when I went into podiatric medical school, I just wanted to take care of professional athletes. And that's what I kind of thought podiatry was. Podiatry is so much more than that. And I actually was somewhat shocked when I got into the podiatric medical school and we started getting out and seeing what podiatry was, what podiatric medicine was, what podiatric surgery was. I had no idea. And it was so nice that Dr. Wu talked about these different things that I've done in my career. But I look back on the ability to do those things in my career was created by podiatric medicine. So I've been able to treat so many wonderful people and patients and make their lives better. And then one of the neatest things about what we do, the profession we're in, is we don't see the same thing every day. We see a wide variety of people and problems. We see children, young people, babies. We see people at the end of their life who are trying to remain active and healthy. We see, in some cases, professional and high school athletes. We see people who are just trying to exercise on a daily lifestyle to maintain their health and wellness. We see a huge variety. We see very sick people who need our help and need our care in order to literally live. And I'm going to give a few examples of how impactful we as podiatric surgeons and physicians can be. Dr. Erin Klein is one of the doctors in our group, and she's sitting up front. She's an adjunct professor here at the college as well. Today, she and I were in one of our offices at the same time together. And she literally saw 2 people today who she saved their leg and presumably their life because they were sick in the hospital and they weren't getting the care they needed until she got involved, diagnosed the problem, and not only did she treat the foot and ankle problem, but she got other doctors involved to save the person's leg and life. 2 people today. And then later today, she saw an Olympic athlete who wasn't able to train anymore. And she did surgery on that Olympic athlete a week ago. And with an innovative new treatment she employed, this athlete is going to be back training within a week on their feet because of something innovative that she's done. So she saved a leg, she saved a life, and she got somebody back performing their Olympic pursuits. Early in my career, I can remember a time, and I teach my fellows this over and over again, because we don't just treat feet and ankles, we treat people who also have foot and ankle issues. But when you think of your importance in the delivery of healthcare, it doesn't stop at the foot and ankle. It only begins at the foot and ankle, because people come to us for their foot and ankle problems with a whole host of other problems. So early in my career, I can remember a really specific guy who at the time was an older than me guy, and he's probably at the time younger than I am now. And he came in with some foot-related problem. I think it was heel pain. And I was treating his heel pain, but I looked at his x-rays. And there was something on his x-ray that made me think back to a class I took at the Scholl College of Podiatric Medicine taught by Dan Evans. And I can remember Dan Evans in my ear talking about this particular problem. And basically the patient, young man, had calcifications in some arteries in his leg. Most foot and ankle people would just treat the heel pain and move on. But I heard Dan Evans in my ear that this could be a bigger problem. Don't ignore it. So I said to the guy, here's what we're going to do for your heel pain. I said, but do you have a cardiologist? He said, no, I don't have a cardiologist. I've never had a problem in my life. I said, there's this weird thing on your x-ray. I think you probably should, make it a point to see a cardiologist in the not too distant future. I didn't see the guy for 6 months. 6 months later, he came back in and he said to me, you saved my life. What do you mean? He said, you told me I needed to see a cardiologist. I went to a cardiologist, and I had 98% blockage of the arteries in my heart. And they said if I had had a heart attack, there was no chance I was making it. And because you looked at the x-ray and you told me about that, you saved me. So as podiatric physicians, we don't stop at the foot and ankle. We take care of the entirety of people. And you'll get that from the likes of a Dan Evans when you're at the Scholl College. So as you embark on your careers going forward, as you get ready to take on this, you're probably not going to remember too much of what I just said. And that's okay. Because I've been in a lot of speeches and sat where you guys are, and I don't remember too much of those. But I would like you to think of a few things that I want you to remember and take home with you. First of all, you are in an amazing profession that takes care of people, and what podiatric medicine is such a critical component of the delivery of healthcare in our country. So think about that. Secondly, it is going to be really, really hard. Not a little hard. It's going to be really hard. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to embrace it. You're going to have to work harder than you've ever imagined you had to. There are going to be sleepless nights. There are going to be days that you want to cry. And that's okay, because those of us who went before you had to go through the same thing. Not to minimize it, but we've cried. We've had a hard time. But it's a necessity. If it was easy, anybody could do it. Make relationships with your classmates. Don't sit in your room and just work on your own self and your own grades. You have a bunch of really unique and wonderful people in your class. Create those relationships. Building relationships is the key to life. And you've got a really unique opportunity to build some great relationships. And literally, when I'm here today, one of my classmates that I haven't seen in a number of years came up to me and said hi to me. And it was a relationship that we had when we were in podiatric medical school. One thing that I did that I don't know that I would recommend to you, but first week in my orientation week, I fell in love. And it wasn't with podiatry, it was with my wife. And during that first week of orientation, I fell in love, and she was telling somebody that she did as well, but I don't know if I believe it. But podiatry can offer you so much. Everybody has opportunities. Everybody has opportunities. It's what you do with your opportunity. You can ignore it. You can say, I'm too busy. You cannot pursue it and then be mad at the person who did it. But each of you has an opportunity. Each of you has an opportunity to make friends. Each of you has an opportunity to change the lives of your patients in the future. Each of you has a chance to make a difference in your families now and in the future. Take that opportunity. Thank you for joining our profession. Good luck on your journey, and welcome to the Scholl College of Podiatric Medicine.